thing is like, oh, you mean just let them have their way? Just da 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 da. I says, well, do you want them to peacefully de-escalate, or do you want them to fall out, hurt themselves, hurt whatever, do all of the things just so that you can feel like you having your way? I said, this is
Right.
not about control. So we had to make a policy, and the policy is basically on voice control. And
Mm.
the point is, we're not trying to raise children that feel like it's normal to be hollered at, screamed
Mm.
at. And I say voice control means you can say something and not be screaming. And I have to demonstrate it with the teachers. Like I might say, you know, Miss Johnson, Miss Johnson. Even if I say loud, Miss Johnson, but if I say Miss Johnson, that's a whole different Miss Johnson. That's an
Mhm.
unregulated teacher, an unregulated person calling Miss Johnson, and she is not having Miss Johnson's interest in the best when it turns that. I said, you know, maybe we need singing lessons. So we have voice.
Right.
But literally, I said, your voice and the children listening to it, it could mean their life. You might not need them to touch something. You may need them. But if you go up in that zone of the parent out of control zone, is what I call it, or the person out of control, kids don't hear that.
Yeah.
That one goes over the head. That's just loud noise in the back. But when you have that one even and you, no, that's not what we're doing right now. They will
Right.
redirect and they look because they see that you're talking to them, redirect, and they come. And it's not a fearful. It's not like I'm going to hurt you. They don't need to be feared. I don't want children to feel like they
Yes.
can't say what they need to say. I don't want them to feel like the biggest person has control. I want them to feel like what they say is heard and valued. I ask the children, how do you feel about such and such? Do you feel you're being treated fairly? I tell parents
Mhm.
all the time, baby, when your children can talk, you can ask them
Right.
all the questions. Who did they say hit them? How did they say this happened? Let's hear from them. We don't have to talk over them and they right here. What did they say?
Right.
Because they know the truth before looking at anything. Because it's just like with cameras. You can have cameras everywhere. Some stuff don't get on the cameras. You
Mhm.
don't see the ugly look sometimes. You don't see if somebody try to do something slick. You don't see if they back is turned. You can't see. So you have to rely on witness. What was said? What did they say? And you have to start getting the ear to listening to what your child say and believing what their child say. If you got a good relationship with them, then you can talk to them. And so that's the thing.
Indeed.
You have to know your child, but you have to have that relationship so that you can talk with them. Because I said, I'd be dog if I'm about to raise a bunch of people who think they need to be with folks hollering at them all the time.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I don't think a lot of parents realize the things they normalize so that when their kids are out of their sight, they're accepting that type of behavior from adults that
Mhm.
aren't related to, that
Right.
are on it just because they're adults. I used to have my students used to tell me, Miss Carr, you can cuss at us. Like you can cuss at, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not cussing
What?
at you. Yes, they used to tell me because I was one of those. I don't raise my voice. I don't do all that stuff. And they'd be quick to tell Miss Carter, you can cuss at us, girl, because them kids bad. Like talking about their classmate, all this stuff, and they would tell me, other teachers cussed at them. So that's why they felt
Oh,
I should cuss at them.
oh,
No, what? I said, because I wish somebody would cuss at my child. We're
right.
not doing that.
Exactly.
Not playing
Exactly.
that
You sound
game.
like me. I'm
No.
like, I'm still one of
No.
those, what they call, I'm still one of those sensitive parents.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
Yes,
assuming that's
ma'am.
probably what they say in the office and all of the things.
And you can call it what you want, but
Call it what
if
you
I'm
want.
not doing so, yeah, if I'm not doing something to my child, I'm not going to. My children don't normalize abuse.
Exactly.
They don't, that's not normal to them. Look, they don't normalize people talking, adults talking to them crazy. They don't and
Right.
parents don't understand their actions will normalize that behavior for their kids, and their kids will, especially if they're not allowed to advocate at home, they're not going to go out in those schools and advocate either. They're going to accept things. And then when they get home to you, they're going to just sum up their day as, oh, it was fine or it was good. And then they go about their way and you don't know what has been put on your child. You don't
Right.
know what they're holding. You don't know what kind of anything, because you don't have that open window, you don't have that open door policy, you don't have, you don't have that safe space for your child at home. And this is why we have all these broken individuals that are just out here surviving,
It
and
grows
hurt.
into adulthood. I can remember
Yes,
I used to work
ma'am.
at a company in Montgomery once I graduated the things, and they said something. I said, "Hold up." I said, "People who love me don't get to talk to me like that. And we certainly aren't in love. And I don't think you love me. So you can't speak to me like that." And they would be like, "Huh?" And I'm like, "I don't know how it is at your house, but at my house, you don't talk when you in that tone." I said, "I didn't see my
Exactly.
parents fussing and fighting. Me and my brothers and sisters could not fuss and fight. So if people who love me can't speak like that, you certainly cannot, you know,
Set the tone. You
gotta
got
set
to
the
set the
tone."
tone.
And so
Yes,
they knew,
ma'am.
don't do that. I would watch grown men, they would get in each other's face just like that. And I'm like, where do people do that? Where did y'all learn that? And then you want to go out to lunch later. But the point of the matter is if you don't set the standards, if you don't set the stage, you don't set the precedents, then teachers will come in and they'll bring that. And literally, we quick see something, say something. We want them gone quick because everybody can put on that little happy dance in the interview. Everybody can say all of the great things in the interview. But when everybody's moving around, they're like, "Hey, she talk a little rough to the kids." I'm like, "Rough? She talking rough to
Mm,
my kids? Hold on. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna try to train it out first. I'm crazy. I'm demonstrative. I'm gonna give you all of what I'm doing
right.
so that you understand. I'm gonna ask, do you understand what I'm saying? Can you feed it back to me? Tell me what we just did. And once I know then there's just really no excuse. You're just doing what you want to do. And I'm
Indeed. All
just
right.
saying, your actions has disqualified you from continued employment. It took a while
Mm,
because for a while that would hurt me. I'm like, people need these jobs, people need this. It'd be a whole
no.
month later. I'm still like, oh Lord, I hope they okay. Now I'm getting a lot better. Now I'm just like, I could be out of town somewhere and get something. Like, yeah, this is the last day. Let's just let today be the last day. You'll get
Mm,
your letter next week. Just don't come back tomorrow. I wanted to talk. There's no more needing to talk. We've already talked. This is it. And I'm just saying, I felt like I had to get that. Well, this is my third year. So it took me 3 years to get to that. But it's like I had to get there because we got to get it fast and get it out because bad behavior is like a cancer. It'll spread.
yes,
It'll bring
ma'am. Yes,
everybody down.
ma'am.
So as soon as I see it and the more people see, no, she don't play about that. She quick about that. Or she even
Mhm.
checking her cameras later or whatever. Like you can tell me what happened. You don't have to tell me. I don't have to say you said it. I can go look at my cameras and see it and say, on this day, I saw such and such. These people were around. I saw it in the room. Just give me
Mhm.
the heads up so that I can point on to it and get to it. The point
Mhm.
of the matter is we don't want destructive forces around our children.
Yes, and that's why I always think about like childcare in general, how hard it is to vet those individuals. It's the same thing with teachers in the classroom, how it is. Because, like you said, people can interview one way
Mm-hmm.
and then be a whole nother way once they are met with all those little
Mm,
people talking to them at one time, or their frustration being met, or their control, or their their authority being tested.
right.
And then it's like a whole nother story. It's, you
But the
gotta
difference
see.
is in the school system, you get tied up in the paperwork, and I guess it's harder to get people gone. You know what I'm saying? Without having so many
Mhm.
repercussions. This is just a private owned family business in Georgia, a right to work state. I really don't have to tell you why I'm letting you go, but I am going to tell you so that you don't move on and not to put me down as a reference on the next page because it won't be good. So I'm going to
Our
let you
connection ends here, ma'am.
know.
Yes.
Just pretend like this never happened
Right.
because let's just move on. And a lot of times you see them later, they're still friendly with you. They understand.
Because the man was wrong.
Right. Can they come back and work? No, I already sent you showed me your hand, so we ain't gonna
Right.
no redealing on this. Um,
Yeah.
so like I said, it's different because as soon as we see it, if we see it in day 2 or 3, it ain't gonna make it. We ain't even going to the next week. But like I say, a lot of times we'll get a few weeks in, and don't let a parent complain. No. If a parent complain, baby, I'm really listening to what a parent say. I'm listening to what a child say. When I bring them in my office, you bring them in because you're saying they're having an issue in the class and you need some help. As soon as they sit in there, my first question is, what's the problem?